Greetings. My name is Dumi, and I'm calling in from New York on the margins of the 68th Commission on the Status of Women. I have the privilege to have a conversation with Azura, whom we met in Rwanda on the margins of the Women Deliver Conference. Azura, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for inviting me today, Dumi. It's lovely to be here. I appreciate it to you once again.
Great. Please do just introduce yourself, your work, some of the projects that you might be engaged in, and a little about your activism.
Absolutely. So I'm Azura. I am 24 years old. I am in Columbia. I've been working in the fashion industry for about 4 years now as a model and stylist. But I've also been able to work with the global community here in Medellin. We've been able to about gender and gender identity. We also provide information to other marginalized groups about SDGs, resources that where they can get information or simply help with their, if they want to change their name or if they want to have information in regards to HIV. We also do charitable work. So sometimes whenever there's an emergency, someone is in left out of their home, we provide a house to provide houses to check in with our contacts by posting on our social media platform. We also have built a community page and each one talent. So if someone can give or can offer the quality to, improve the community so that we can collect money to community necessities, that example, like if you don't have a sound or a speaker and we need it for an upcoming event, we also collect money to rent venues to provide I don't really know how to translate it because I'm thinking it is in Spanish, but it's like when you're getting free classes about finances, about for example, when removing and invited, I guess, who was giving us classes about fans and so I've been working with the fashion industry, like I said, for about 5 years now. So I've been able to deconstruct a little bit of being like non-binary person in society. I would say that I am one of the pioneers of the genderless fashion here in my country. I wouldn't say that I was the one who started because, of course, I have reference before me, but they were not as prominent as I am. But because I've been able to move more through social media, that's why I've been able to, get to more people and have a bigger impact. Well, not a bigger impact, but like to get to more people to know me. So that's about me.
Cool. Thank you so much, Azura. And I hope that the sound will be a little bit more stable. But yeah, I think it's important, when you mention pioneering and when you mention, the importance of, I guess, an impact in one's community, and maybe that's one of the reasons why Trans Day of Visibility is so important, because we're acknowledging that, we exist, we're acknowledging that gender diversity, in as much as it can be raised, exploited, and extracted from, the reality is that we do really contribute in terms of significant inroads, whether it's in fashion, whether it's in activism, or whether it's in other forms of trade. And I think the question really then is, what do you think is key, or what often dictates the needs, the challenges, especially for us, in terms of a lot of the development interventions, they speak about needs, they speak about challenges, they speak about rights and freedoms, but they never really speak about joy. They never speak about liberation. And so I'm trying to
Right.
figure out why do you think that we're often dictated to in this needs and challenges framing, as opposed to the joy and the liberation that we need?
Okay. Well, I would say that at the societal level, society has stripped us from simply being seen, and but because they think that, I mean, the heteropatriarchy thinks that we don't deserve the right to exist. That's why they strip us away from those simple things. Well, it's simple because it's like what everyone what everyone else gets to have without having to, you know, sacrifice what they truly are. So I think that it's important it's say of disability because people tend all the time to deny our existence, uh, access to work, to joy itself, to being able to action or take up spaces. So one of the biggest challenges, of course, when people or when families discuss away from a safe zone or a safe place where we can become whoever we want to be, being um being I don't know how to like accompanied. I don't know if that makes with from our parents, from our families. So I think that um that's one of the first things. And once we get to a societal level, of course, we understand that this is systematic if we want to deny our existence because in terms of um statistics, if we don't exist, then they don't have to um destin money to cover our needs. So we have to understand that if there's no money to cover our needs and to work on our problems and our realities, it's because it is a plan from the government specifically, which that wants specifically to erase us to so that they don't have to invest in our future.
Thank you so much, Azura. And I think, I'm really curious, in the Latin American context, we also know that, um, bringing in on that conversation around expectations, and who people expect you to be and become and so forth. What would you say as someone of African descent, is the experience in the context of colorism, the experience even in the context of, language justice, what for
Yeah.
you does that mean in terms of basically being a pioneer and existing in this world that consistently requires us to, conform linguistically, ethnically, and in so many other ways. And in many instances, trans and gender diverse folks are obviously not conformative.
Okay. So I think that in my personal case, I've been subjected to a lot of criticism because there's this image that what a black man has to be. And since I am quote unquote a masculine person, I should be acting in a rude way or I should be very sex oriented or I should have a big just to name a few of the things and the stereotypes that are around blackness, masculinity. Um, for example, for women, they always say, I mean, study always says that they are very pretty for a black girl, or that they are super sexy. And so those are one of the stereotypes that we are subjected in our daily basis. Of course, like when you rebel against some stereotypes, people can either um, mock you, make you the bottom of their job, or simply harass you on the street, or they can even get violent. Sometimes, I mean, I've never got into a fight, and I hope that that's not my case. However, I've been subjected to a lot of criticism, or threats, or desire to move. through society. I think that by me being who I am, a lot of opportunities have been denied to me because I cannot simply go take a walk on a park without people having the urge to simply yelling stuff or shouting stuff at me or maybe looking at me like I'm some sort of alien that doesn't deserve to be in a public eye. And in the fashion industry, it's been a challenge, very challenging because sometimes people think that what I'm doing is too much and what they don't need is someone to do too much because they want to keep fashion very elitist and inaccessible to everybody. And we have to understand that their project is to perpetuate whiteness in all spaces. And so that's why, in my personal experience, I've also been subjected to colorism and to texturism and futurism.
And that's very important. And in as much as you speak about a personal experience, I think there are far too many personal experiences across the globe of this. And
Mhm.
it's important in many instances when we realize that so many people have, not just the shared experiences, but that it is, really speaking about a larger system that subjugates oppressors, and I guess, in many ways continues to find ways to permeate even when we try to express ourselves and we try and thrive. Um, yeah, I think maybe, do you think that there's a point when, one doesn't have to seek out joy, that it can find its way into our laps? What do you think is needed for this, as activists and gender diverse folks? Because I know we constantly speak about seeking joy because we are amidst so much stigma, discrimination, transphobia, and so many other isms that tend to impede our thriving, if I can put it that way. So what do you think? What do you think is needed? How can we get to the point where happiness just finds its way into our laps?
Yeah, I think that in I believe in firstly we need to have access to mental health because a lot of us are dealing with emotions that we have been able to manage and with trauma that we haven't been able to talk about. Because once going to therapy, I was able to get directly from my therapist that we can always control what we say, what we do, but we can never control what people think or may act around us. And I think that for us to embrace joy, we have to allow us to simply be and to understand that we can do as much as to, simply exist. Being able to exist unapologetically, being able to exist freely, being able um to to simply be. I think that I mean I understand that sometimes it's complicated and it can be complex for different people, but in my case, through my passions, I've been able to express a lot of rage that I had inside. So that's where I chose me, and I chose to um, prioritize me and my mental health. I think that by doing the exercise of simply allowing me be without taking into account the negativity from outside, because of course um, that's like that's something different when you are, of course, in the public eye as a model, as of being a, like a regular human being or doing something different. I don't know if you work a corporate job, but first thing will be accessing information that allows us to take decisions because a lot of us are acting out of survival. And we need to sometimes to be able to enjoy itself, we just simply have to be. I don't know how many times I have said it, but of course, the mindset of that you just have to survive and thinking about surviving all the time at some point as you go. Even though, I mean, I don't deny that some people are subjected to more violence than I am, and I don't want to be obtuse about it. But the more we embrace our right to take up spaces, to do what makes us be, and to do what we love, is when we embrace joy. Because everything starts to pay off the moment we choose ourselves and to prioritize our own mental health, our physical health, and our desires.
Thank you, thank you. That's really powerful. And you actually reminded me about, I saw something online where someone was sharing that, dear non-white non-cis person, you don't need to take up all the spaces. And I'm consistently reminded of this because in as much as we believe that a lot of advocacy spaces are safe and that they are enabling, they really aren't. And I think sometimes for me in my mind, I sit and I question what is the point of being present in that room when I am consistently
Right.
either denied to speak or I can't, who am I to say something that's opposite of what might be the common thing in the room? But I think it's very important, as you say, in that it's important to prioritize one's, well-being. And maybe essentially it's also important to or acknowledge that there might be someone else who will be occupying that space if you leave, for example. And so I think, it's also just acknowledging that all of us have a role to play in some way. And it's important for us to be able to be present in so many different spaces, as opposed to just those that I think we are used to. Um, you know,
But
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
sorry, you know what I think? I think that in that specific, I understand that we don't have to go to those spaces that are plagued with whiteness. However, for example, what I did, I knew that when I started modeling, people didn't want to see me at their fashion shows or at the casting. What I did was get like reach out to people who were interested in working with me, and I started to post my my work on social media, and that's why I started to move like this mass of people in this community. Like it doesn't have to be like you have to reach out to those places because they're never gonna give you a seat at the table. What you have to do is just take all the information and all the knowledge that you have and create your own table. And when you create your own table, that's when they start noticing.
Oh, super lovely, and that's a powerful piece of advice. Yeah, and I'm very curious. What's the one thing that you'd say to your younger self, when you were trying to figure it all out?
That's a good question. But I think that um, I would say that never lose yourself to try to impress other people. Never um, prioritize impressing other people. People, whether you do right, wrong, green, blue, they're still gonna have a reaction that's not in your power. So if you feel something, follow your gut because our emotions, our feelings are there to teach us what makes us feel comfortable and what not. So if we were just a little bit more honest with who, with our own emotions and ourselves, I think we should be able to, have a better understanding of things. Simply, sometimes we don't want to go to X, Y, or situation or event because we don't feel like going. We don't have to question that. We simply just have to go with the flow of our emotions. If you're not feeling like doing anything, if you're not feeling like collaborating, if we are not feeling like doing something that we don't know about, it's totally fine. Of course, sometimes we are afraid of backlash. We are afraid of what could happen. Those are different situations because if we have the knowledge and we have the information and we can definitely do it, we can take up the spaces. However, if you feel within you that it doesn't move you just don't have to do it to impress other people because at the end of the day, people I mean, if they don't care about you, they will care about you. And you can do, I mean, you can be the talented person, but if they are not willing to give you a chance to, like do what you gotta do, you just have to, I don't know if I'm making sense right now. However, I think that um do what best suits you and what suits you. Never move by the urge to impress other people because in pursuing impressing people, then we can become miserable by expecting all the time to be, surrounded by um some other people in opinion. We don't need it. We can get feedback from people who want and truly want to see us thrive. However, we don't need reaction to other people to follow our dreams or to work in stuff that we are interested in. So basically, just move by choice and what you want to do, not what you're expecting the people to think about your work.
I mean, I'm actually very curious. Do you think that a younger you would actually take that advice?
My younger self,
Yeah.
I mean, she will have thought a little.
Um,
She will
but
have
yeah,
thought a little. She will have thought a little, and she will probably smack me in the face with a glass of water. I think she would understand because I was able to do it after 3 or 4 years of trying to
mm,
pursue attention from whiteness,
mm,
and it never happened anyway.
mm. No, I feel you. I feel, thank you so much for sharing that. And I guess, this is always quite important, and I love bringing it up, is, what do you think we should stop? What should we start? And what should we continue in the spirit of achieving trans joy?
So what we have to do is simply not give a fuck. Sorry, I mean I'm sorry to put it into those words, but we have to stop giving a fuck about what people think about us because sometimes we are more concerned about what they think and how they're gonna perceive us, and we have to put more intention into allowing ourselves to be. As long as we're not taking up, you know, I think that there was this phrase when I was growing up. It's like your rights are as far as, I mean, you have the right to simply take your space, you know, working whatever you desire. Um, as long as you're not affecting other people. And by affecting, it's like you're not denying chances, you're not denying opportunities of equal treatment because people may be affected, but those are their emotions, and their emotions are not my concern. But as long as you're not taking some other people's spaces, um, not spaces, opportunities of doing the same, of you're not blocking anybody to doing. I, I think that this has more sense in sales. I don't know if it does English. However, I think that as long as you're not um destroying anyone else but the patriarchy, you can do everything under the umbrella. People are gonna think, people are gonna stare, people are gonna talk, people are gonna say that you don't deserve spaces, but you just have to silence those words of disapproval and just move on with your life. For me, as a model, people are always mocking me on the streets for the way I am dressed. People are always um, having opinions about what should I be doing and what should I be dedicating my time. However, if I am not affecting anyone with the way I dress, if I am not affecting anyone with the way I have to choose that I have to spend my time, I don't think I am doing something wrong. I'm simply investing in my future and the things that actually move me. So more of not giving a fuck about things that you cannot control, which is people's opinion, and more focusing that energy into the things that you can control, like whether if you're pursuing your education, whether if you're pursuing another child, whether if you're pursuing another community, or if you are trying to do different stuff. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Azura. And your words remind me of writing facilitator Kai Cheng Tom, who says, "Those who have survived the unthinkable are those who know how to create a better world because it's ended for us before." And I think that's a beautiful way to end this conversation. And thank you so much for sharing a little bit in terms of your life, your experiences. It's been an amazing conversation, and I'm truly, truly
Absolutely.
grateful. And hopefully, we can be able to meet again sometime very soon.